Hey there, Roger here, with a bit of a serious video for you this time around. Sorry, but I think we should talk about bullying and management and combating bullying through good management. Now, chances are you won't ever encounter a bully in your team or in your wider structure, wherever you're working. But just in case you do, let's think about the psychology of the bully and come up with some simple steps, say three of them, to combat that person. As far as the psychology is concerned, some people like being the big I am, being the big boss, throwing their weight around, and they are selective. They won't try it in the group with someone who's going to put them down hard and fast so that they would never try it again with that person. They'll find the person who is not vulnerable exactly, but who's perhaps a bit meek, a bit mild, a bit trusting, and then they'll go to town on that person just because they can. So that's the psychology of the bully. What are the effects? Well, I can speak personally because back in the 90s, I had a supervisor who was a nightmare. And basically, on a Sunday evening, I would be dreading Monday morning because what mood is the nightmare going to be in next week? How will they be? And this was somebody who had two faces, or maybe more. With senior colleagues, this supervisor was sweetness and light and very polite. With people at the peer level, they were professional. But with junior staff like myself, scathing, rude, confrontational, undermining, just a bit of a nightmare. Now, in that situation, of course, the person who's subject to the bullying can leave. That's an option. Or they can stick with it, grit their teeth, and just, pay the bills. Leaving is a bit extreme because why should you leave because somebody else is a bully? And sticking with it, putting up with it, well, why should you do that as well? It's kind of rewarding behavior which is really negative. So there's a middle way, which I'm going to outline to you. It involves knowing what the organization has as a policy towards bullying and combating it. It might involve referring to your union, if you've got one, or otherwise taking some soundings about the legal side of things. But it also involves keeping a diary. Keep a diary of what was said, what was done, how did you feel, who was the witnesses to it, so that you've got your evidence. It's like a week's worth or 10 days worth of stuff that the bully has done to you and how it made you feel. And most importantly, or just as importantly, how it impacts your job performance. Because then when you have a one-to-one meeting with that bully, either as a natural one-to-one chat that you have regularly with them, or you could set up a separate one because you think this is an issue that deserves half an hour of their time in all seriousness, and they need to see from your eyes that you're totally serious and you will not have it, then you can say, well, on this date, this was what you did. On that date, you did this other thing. These were the witnesses. This was the impact on my job performance. The organization says this is unacceptable, and I certainly know it is. I won't have it. Now, I wouldn't do these things, certainly not to a customer, certainly not to a valued colleague like yourself, and I don't accept that you're doing it to me. So I would like this to stop so that we can be professional, so that we can deliver our results for our clients or our service users, whatever it is, and we can move on productively. Because I don't want to go down to the level of escalating this to more senior management, although I am going to inform them that we've had this conversation. And I don't want to go through the legal route as well. So, how do you feel about us being professional and collegiate and working together so that we represent the team well and we serve our customers brilliantly? Now, I think if you do this, it's very difficult for the person, unless they are, of course, unwell, it is very difficult for the person to say anything other than, oh, okay, I accept that and I will do better. And I didn't know that was what I was causing you to feel. And I'm sorry. You might even get an apology. If they get into a cycle of, well, you've been too sensitive, you've misunderstood, you don't know how I am, that I don't mean, if in other words, they're trying to excuse their behavior and the impact it has had on your performance and the way the team works, then maybe that's not somebody you want to carry on working with. And so moving on would seem logical. But if you set out the terms of the change that you want to see, and then you keep on top of it, every couple of days you just take stock, has it happened again? Has anything like it happened again? And then after 10 days, whatever, you can just draw a line under it. It's something that happened. It's not going to be repeated. You feel better. You feel productive. You move on. And that person knows not to try the nonsense with you. Well, that's a big tick. That's a win. If, however, they slip back or they keep on at the same level, then you have another conversation, but that's it. That's the final one, because you have tried your best and it's not for you to get them to be professional and courteous. It's for them to recognize that they're getting it wrong and to change. And because their supervisor also knows what's gone on, because you've explained to them in writing, these are the events, this is how I tried to negotiate a better way of being, and unfortunately it's not worked, then you have escalated it potentially if they choose not to change. The ball's in their court, in other words. But the bottom line is, if you want to stay working in the organization, in the team, serving those clients, those service users, having a productive day, then that person who is the bully has to change. There is no other alternative. It might not be a change that it might not be a change that they make with everyone else in the team, but certainly with you. They know not to mess with you because you're perfectly serious. You know what you're entitled to receive as treatment, and you know what action you will take if they continue to treat you wrong. So, as I say, bullying, it does happen. It's too frequent, sadly, but now you've got a strategy in your mind about how you will face it and deal with it if you should ever encounter it. Keep a record, find out what the organization's policy is or the legal position, and then have a constructive conversation with the bully. You're looking for them to change their view, change their behavior, and change the way they engage with you, based on evidence, based on the impact it has to the bottom line, how you perform, how you deliver your services for the organization and your service users. If they can't see that and the need for change, then maybe you don't need to be in that team working with that person, because they're bad news. Like I say, this can be triggering. I hope this has been constructive. If you found it useful, either for yourself or somebody going through it, drop a like, because that's always helpful, isn't it? You might want to subscribe to the channel, or even comment about what strategies you've used, how effective they've been, and the difference it's made to how you feel about your day. Because nobody wants to go to work to feel burdened, stressed, or angry at the world. And if nothing else comes from the assertive approach that you're going to take, you will shift the needle in your favor and have a better day as a consequence of taking action. Like I say, give us a thumbs up if that's useful. Share it by all means. Comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.